Hello friends and happy holidays. I'm going to be making Martha May Whovier from How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I just love her character design and all her outfits. I always thought she looked so glam. I'm going to be making her Santa outfit because it's my absolute favourite. Before we get started, please remember to like and comment, and if you haven't already, I'd love if you became a subscriber. All of this helps me in the YouTube algorithm and I really appreciate it. Thank you in advance, and let's get started. I'm using Headless Headmistress Bloodgood for this project. The best thing about her is that her head just pops straight off, so no heating needed. I'm using my clipper to shave her hair off. Then I take her face paint off. Then I remember I need to scrape her hair out of her head, which I do with needle nose pliers. Then I use the same pliers to pull all the gunk out of her neck hole. I could probably have gotten away with not doing this part, but I did it to be safe. I'll explain a little more later. Then I use acetone to take off the factory paint from her scalp. I decided to file her lips down a bit because they project a bit more than I want them to. Who's tend to have a turned up nose, so I'm filing down her nose to make it a bit of a button nose shape. Both of these I'm doing first with a nail file and then a buffer to refine. I'm using a little white milliput to add Who-like teeth, which I'm shaping with a needle. Martha May has a fabulous cleavage, so I sculpted some boobs to fit a big sister body type in Blender, and then I printed those in ABS-like white resin. They get cured in my crusty nail lamp. Then I'm filing away the remaining supports. To make sure the piece has a clean surface to stick to, I wipe both the doll and the piece with isopropyl alcohol. I add a fair amount of superglue to the inside of the piece, then press that onto the doll and hold it while it sets. I mix together some white milliput and roll out some thin snakes of clay and add those around the edges of the piece. I'm using tools, my fingers and a bit of water to blend that. I let that cure for 24 hours, then I file it down with a nail file and a nail buffer. I primed her in white and then used my airbrush to try and get a close colour match. I didn't really manage it this time. Then her body is sprayed with MSC and she has 2 layers of blushing, mostly to try and highlight and contour the piece, but also to add some glitter. I used Interference Gold Mica. She then gets 3 coats of Mr. Super Clear and she's ready for a face up. I start as always by adding her eye shapes. I always end up having to erase and redraw them a couple of times to get them right. I'm trying my best to get a similar eye shape to the actress. I'm using a warm brown pan pastel to add a base for her eyebrows, which I'm refining with a kneaded eraser, and then I'm adding a little bit of cooler brown towards the middle of her eyebrows. She's getting highlights in a pinky peach pan pastel, and this is also going to help me blend brighter blush in a minute, which I added with a bright red. I decided to add this quite red blushing because Who's tend to have a look like they've kind of been out in the cold. I think it looks pretty cute, and although she's glam, there is some softness and youthfulness to her face. I'm drawing in her red lipstick. At first I'm using this red tone that always comes out bluer than I expect, so I have to go over it with orange later, and I'm turning up the corners to give her a smile. I'm contouring with a cool brown to define her nose shape and make her features stand out. In this outfit, Martha May Whovier has green cat eye makeup, so I'm starting by adding that with a base of a green pan pastel, and then I'm using different shades of green pencils. I don't normally do this, but I'm filling in the entire eye with white because I want her eye colour to be really bright and intense. The actress has these stunning blue-green eyes. I want to make sure to capture that. I'm adding shimmer from the very first layer and then every layer after, because I do want this to look quite glittery. Also, the face sculpt is really distinctive and she has that eyelid sculpted in. This shimmer is going to help diffuse that and make it less noticeable. At first I used a yellow gold, and then later I used an interference gold. I'm using a combinations of yellows, greens and blues and blending to get the colour that I like. I've said before that I put off doing the face up until the last minute, and this project was no exception. Usually once I get started doing the face up, I enjoy the process, but with this doll, every single layer was a bit of a struggle. I really had to bully myself to get back to my craft desk to get this done. As always, I'm shading the sclera with grey tones to make them look 3D. I'm highlighting with white, especially on the tip of her nose. This is going to help it look like a button nose. So that the blue of her eyes stays light, I'm starting with a layer of white and then blue and then white again. Oh, I just wanted to mention something. I had a comment on an older video telling me to sharpen my pencils. I promise that I sharpen them probably more than I need to. I use a Prismacolor sharpener, but when I'm editing the face up, I always edit out things like sharpening pencils and changing pencil colour so that the video is not like a million years long. I'm using a super sharp cool brown pencil to draw in the eyebrow hairs, and I'm adding eyeliner in black. I struggled a bit to get the pupils in the right place, so I had to take them off and redo them, but I'm doing that with navy blue and with brown and then later with black. I'm adding more mica powder, and each time I add this I'm making sure to take it off the places that I don't want it to be with a kneaded eraser. I forgot to turn the camera on for this bit, but I used white gouache paint in the eyes to make them look super bright and intense. I used black gouache to add eyelashes. On this final layer I added a little bit of cool brown to try and make her smile more distinctive. I wasn't really feeling this face up when I was doing it. I wasn't in a good headspace for this doll, but while I was editing it, I started appreciating it a bit more. You have to let me know what you think. I absolutely love Martha May Whovier's Santa dress, and I love that it's fitted on top with like this massive full ruffly skirt. So to get this effect, I made a pattern and sewed it up in stretch velvet. I didn't have a big sister body type to make this pattern, so it's kind of lucky that it ended up fitting. To get those deep ruffles in the skirt, I made a double circle skirt, which is exactly what it sounds like. I cut 2 circle skirt pieces and then sewed them together. I gathered down the waist and then sewed it to the top. To make the skirt stick out and have a lot of volume, I added 3 petticoats made from organza. Finally, to finish off the dress, I added a white fur trim and a faux leather belt. Martha May doesn't have any hair showing in the movie, so I really could have gotten away with leaving the stubble of the hair. I just decided to take it away because I wasn't sure if I wanted to add a bit of hair. But I think it's such a bold look not having the hair. To make her Santa hat, I kind of freehanded it. I knew that I needed like a trapezium shape to get the point and to get it to taper. My guesses were pretty good and I liked the shape that I got. I made a pom-pom from white fur and added that to the tip. And I added a trim of white fur to the edge of the hat. I tacked the pom-pom down to the edge of the hat. Martha May wears red tights, which I made using red power mesh. Power mesh looks somewhat like a fine tool, but it is a 4-way stretch, so it's perfect for this application. I roughly estimated the shapes that I would need and then sewed them onto the doll. I'm not bothering to add a foot to the tights, firstly because it's fiddly and I just can't be bothered, and secondly because it's going to make her shoes more difficult to get on later. I trimmed away the excess and I turned them right way out. For her boots, I decided to use the original boots that came with the doll. The shape was just right for this, but they're a little bit too long, so I trimmed them down. Do not use the naked craft knife. Do as I say, not as I do, as always. Then I used a fair few coats of watered down red acrylic paint. I did this to her arms as well because she's wearing gloves, but I didn't get footage of this. Once they were dry, I sealed them with a coat of Mr. Super Clear. Then, using Fabri-Tac glue, I added some fur to the top of the boots. And then it's time to put her together. Her head doesn't need heating up. It just pops straight back on. Martha May wears a string of pearls. I didn't have anything in pure white, but I had these cream pearly beads, which I threaded onto a thin piece of wire, joined the ends, and then popped that on the neck of the doll. So what do you think? This was a bit of a struggle project for me, and I'm not sure if that shows in the finished doll. My mental health hasn't been great, and I've been having some personal life issues, which probably added to the struggles I had with this doll. I'm really happy with how her dress turned out, which it's my favourite part of this project, and I think it kind of pulled the doll together and is helping her look cute. I don't know, you'll have to tell me what you think. I really hope you like her. Thank you as always to my wonderful patrons, with an extra special thank you to Jade. You're all super awesome and I appreciate you all so much. If you're interested in becoming a patron, please check out the description box below. Thank you so much for watching this video and sticking around to the very end. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and I'll see you in the new year with the next video. Thanks again. Bye.